so hopefully a couple weeks. But I don't anticipate wearing this much longer because I don't want to.
Looks good.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, thanks everyone. We'll continue this afternoon with Coach Blashill. Please let us know if you'd like to ask a question. Start with Ansar Khan.
Yeah, Jeff, Lindstrom back at practice today. Is he good to go for tomorrow?
I don't know that answer yet. I know he participated today. He was able to get through the whole practice. We weren't sure if he was going to be able to or not, and so we'll see where he's at. I'm going to want him to be close to 100% to play him. So we'll see where he's at.
And I saw Rasmussen played back in the power play the last game, and then practicing here the last couple of days. Just having a guy who's like maybe a half a foot taller than maybe a typical net front guy, what can that do as far as blocking the goalie's vision, and how much of an advantage can that be?
Well, I think it can definitely be an advantage. You know, when you have a huge man in front of the net, it's different than if it's a little guy. That doesn't mean that other guys aren't really good. I think Arvidsson in LA is one of the best net front guys in the league because he knows how to flash screen and take away the goalie's eyes at the critical moment. But certainly when you're a big man like that, they're hard to move to. You know, they do take away the eyes. But I also would say that Ras, in his repertoire skill set, has the ability to be pretty good in and around the net. You know, it's an area that he was really good in junior. I've watched him be great in that front. He's done a fairly good job when he's been here. You know, he hasn't had much of a chance this year, so hopefully we can get him back in there and he can invite more pucks from the top, I guess is what I would say. Like, if you see the man standing in front of the goalie like that, you're way more apt to shoot than if there's nobody in front of his eyes. And so, you know, by just having him there, we're hoping it'll invite more pucks from the top.
Is that kind of a learned skill as far as being a net front guy, just how to position yourself and just moving back and forth?
For certain, and it changes over time. You know, there's been guys that over the years have, you know, there's way more guys now when the puck goes to flank that are off that back post than a Thomas Holmstrom would have been. He would have always just been in the net front presenting a stick. And you know, there's guys. James Van Riemsdyk does a really good job when he gets the low puck to know how to kind of manipulate the goalie to score himself and be a threat himself. And so there's lots of different things that I know Ras over the years has watched different guys and to try to, you know, find different, I guess, ways to attack it. So, you know, I think it's a learned skill. I think it's something that comes with some experience, but I also think it's studying other people, and I think Ras has done that.
Thanks.
Max Boltman.
Jeff, when you have a guy like Suter who doesn't get to the NHL until he's like 23 or 24, however old he was last year, I know that's usually an age where people kind of say you kind of are what you are, but is there a little more, have you seen more growth from him? Is he still, I guess, evolving in a way that maybe you wouldn't see from guys that age usually?
Yeah, I would say, first off, I'm not totally a believer that you are what you are totally. You know, I think it depends on your inner drive. You know, some guys have continued to get better as they've gotten older because of their inner drive. The other thing that does matter at times is experience, and I think you know, experience in the league can matter. And so a guy like Puce, who's only been in the league, you know, 1.5 years, still can gain and improve his game from experience. Even a little thing like the face-off circle and getting to know the linesman better and getting to know the tendencies of other players, you know, that can make him a better face-off guy. And I think he's improved throughout this year because of that. You know, and then I guess the other part in terms of an individual's play is sometimes opportunity. And you know, I think he's done a pretty good job of earning a bunch of different opportunities here. And so because of that, I think his play, it won't necessarily, it's not because necessarily it's improved, but it's his opportunities improved, and that can make an impact on his result.
And then I guess, do you see him, like obviously he's played some penalty kill for you guys at times, power play, like do you see him as kind of that complete player? Does he have that complete profile?
Yeah, he does. You know, he can certainly play in the power play. We've taken him off here recently, but not necessarily because he did anything wrong. It was more to give somebody else an opportunity like Ras, but he's been a good power play guy. He's become, you know, our first guy off the bench with Gags in the penalty kill. You know, we feel like we can play him with good players because he's two things. One, he's smart offensively and can help facilitate getting guys in the pucks in good areas, and two, he's smart defensively. And you know, any issues that his wingers have, he does a pretty good job of making up for it. So, he's kind of got both those areas covered. So he's been a real versatile player for us, and I think makes him a real good player in the league.
And then just what kind of reports have you gotten on Berggren recently? The scoring obviously is kept up for him.
He's improving. He's made improvements from where he was at the beginning of the year, and I think he's in a good spot right now, and hopefully he can continue to have some success down there, and also improve at the same time, and that's what he's doing.
Thanks.
William St. James?
Jeff, with Suter, how much of an advantage is it the way he's not a super big guy, but he plays with an edge. I mean, you notice him around the net, you notice him going into corners.
Yeah, he's not afraid at all. He gives away some pounds for sure. Doesn't have a big frame, but he's certainly he's got a good nose for the net. He knows where the goals are scored, so he's really committed to find ways to kind of be a tip guy and a guy in and around the cage, and he's done a good job of it. That's where a lot of his goals were scored a year ago. That's where his goals are scored this year. And the same with in the corners and both ends. He's certainly not somebody who shies away from it. I think he's smart about it. I don't think he necessarily puts himself in bad spots, but he's definitely not shy at all. So, again, he's somebody that's done a good job at utilizing his skill set.
To follow up a bit on something you said yesterday about putting guys together who belong in the top six, when you have a new guy coming in, I mean, what's the challenge there in trying to figure out where does he fit in? You don't want to. I mean, Tyler and Dylan have had such good chemistry for so long, and Lucas looked like a natural fit there. And just figuring out where a guy like Pius belongs and who's best suited to play with him.
Yeah, and we had some thoughts going into the year, and some of those involved Suits playing with Verana, and obviously, that didn't happen because of the injury. So you got to be able to be flexible. What I would say when we signed Suits as a free agent, we felt like he was one of the top guys available to be able to fill a top two line role at the center ice position, and we felt we had a need there, and so it made sense to put him there and give him opportunities to play with some guys, and then you kind of spend some time to see who has chemistry, and I think that line of Suter, Zadina, and Fabbri produced a good number of chances, but it didn't produce the production that I think we would have liked to see, where it became really a 1A type line. And so having moved Burt there, the worry I had at that, and the reason it took me a while to do it, was I didn't want to hurt the production of the top line and ultimately sacrifice both lines. And that's part of what goes into the decision making process. But after a while, we just felt like we needed a second line that could really add a lot of scoring punch. Not to say the other lines can't, because we need those guys to score too, but that could really be dangerous. And by putting Burt there, it's allowed us to have two lines that to me look dangerous on the nights they've played.
Lastly, just Suter on the penalty kill. How much does it benefit you when you have a guy? Because I notice, he'll take the puck down the other end, and even if he doesn't create a great scoring chance against, he has puck possession, he eats up 10-15 seconds. I mean, that's a good thing to have on a PK.
Yeah, I think when you get possession of the puck, if you can be a threat to score without taking unneeded risk, and when you can, what I guess I would call rag the puck, hold on to the puck, bring it down the offensive zone without getting caught, maybe send it back to your D. That's all time that the other team doesn't have the puck. And I think Gags and Suits have made a concerted effort to try to rag it, try to control it, try to keep the puck away from the other team. It's frustrating from the offensive team. So he's been a really good penalty killer for us. And I think he's also, as you said, increased our threat a little bit from a shorthanded aspect, and also done a real good job of keeping the puck away from the opponent when we get the opportunity to get it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bonowski?
Hey there, Jeff. I was wondering, we've talked about Dylan Larkin's play, obviously his offensive production, everything else. About a year ago at this time, he was named the captain. And I wonder, in that year that has followed, have you seen, or how have you seen him grow into it, develop, change? Is he fully captainized now in your mind?
Well, I think I think all of us, you, me, Dylan, I think we all want to keep growing in any position we're in, and certainly, I think that he'll continue to grow through different experiences, and that doesn't always mean that you do everything right as you get older either. It just means you're going to be, faced with different challenges as you go through years, and hopefully, the perspective from the experiences you've gone through help you face those challenges. How have I seen him grow? I think, obviously he takes the responsibility extremely seriously. He's growing up in Detroit. He knows who the most recent captains have been. He knows the level of players they were, two, the level of leaders they were. He broke into the league with Zetterberg. He's met Nick, and obviously he's around Steve, and so I think he took it with he took that captaincy, and he knows the responsibility that comes with it, and I think it takes time to kind of grow where that becomes more natural, and it's just the reality of it. I don't care who you are. It's an important position to be in the city of Detroit, and so I think he's just grown with it. How is that? Probably you just get more comfortable in being yourself within that leadership position, and I definitely think he's totally been Dylan Larkin this year. That's not to say he wasn't last year. Just it means you're thinking about things, and sometimes it can affect your own play. And I think one of the first things you got to do when you get in those types of leadership positions is make sure that you play at a high level. Make sure that your commitment is extremely high, and he's been great that way. It doesn't take lots of talks and stuff like that. It's more by example, and I think he's done a great job that way. But I guess the biggest thing for me is, I think he's growing into it. I think he's got more comfortable with it, and I think he'll continue to grow in it.
Just one quick follow-up. Vocal-wise, and I know that sometimes gets overrated as a captain because it's not like Nick Lidstrom or anybody was overly vocal, but has that evolved, or is it even necessary?
I would just say that I'm not in the room at times when I think captains are there to take charge. Usually when I'm in the room, the coaches are doing the talking, and so I think I don't know that I'd be the perfect guy to judge for that. What I would say is I don't think Larks is at all afraid to express how he feels verbally at all, and I think he's a fiery competitor, and so I'm not sure, I think he would do a good job at that, but I'm not necessarily in the room in those situations when he would do it. I know that he's got great respect of everybody on the team, and that to me is probably the most important thing if you're going to lead.
Gotcha.
Last question, Carly Johnston.
Just a quick question. I know you guys were hard at work today, but it also looked like the guys were having fun out there. How important is it to have a good temperature in the locker room, especially when the season can get so hard?
Yeah, I think sometimes I think people want to have fun at what they do, and I think if you're in an environment where you really enjoy coming to work and enjoying each other and having fun, it's great as long as your attention to detail is great, and there's a balance there. And I think your attention to detail has to be great. I think your approach has to be great, and then if you do both those things, why wouldn't you have fun? Where you struggle a little bit is when you have fun get loose and your attention to detail sucks. That's no good. So ultimately the most fun you have in highly competitive sports is winning. So we got to make sure we're doing everything to win. But from a day-to-day basis, as I've said to these guys lots, and we've learned this over the last couple of years, you don't know what tomorrow brings. So let's make sure we make the most of every day, and part of that is enjoying it. And we got a fun group, and I think there's some guys that bring character and life to the locker room, and I think that's an awesome thing.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
All right, those are all the questions we had to say for Coach Blashill. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Happy to see you're okay today. See you got your legs taken out from underneath you.
Recording stopped.
Have a good one, thank you. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
See you tomorrow.
Yep. Hey, you left your water bottle.
Let her grab it.